guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Stef, and yeah, in this video I will be talking about my September reads. This is going to be a reading wrap up. I am hopefully going to do one of these every month, but we will see. I haven't really done an introduction on my channel yet, so hi, my name is Stef. I am a huge reader and I love fantasy and romance books. I can get through many in a week. I'm hoping to use this channel for you guys to find more book recommendations and to generally express my thoughts about different books. So with that out of the way, let's talk about my September reads. September wasn't the best reading month for me. My school had just started at the beginning of September, so I was just getting used to the new routine, and also with the many tests coming up too, I had to study for them and I didn't really have a lot of time to read overall, but I did try my best. I read 7 books this month, which again, as I said, is not my best. In July, I read 21 books alone. My average is about maybe 10-15 books a month. This month I read 7, as I just said. So it isn't my best, but I did still kind of enjoy the books I read. There was actually one 5-star read for me this month, which I will talk about later. Okay, let's get into the first book. The first book that I read was Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. This is part of the Twisted series by her. Actually, this is the book that I'm talking about. This is the last book in the series. This series is kind of a standalone series, but with characters that you can kind of see from previous books. This is a romance series, but there is like a mystery kind of subplot. Sometimes it kind of edges into like the thriller kind of plot, but not a lot. This is mostly romance with a bit of mystery sprinkled in. So this book, hold on, I need to put my computer away. This book is the thickest in the series with 558 pages, which actually is quite a lot. It's bigger than I usually read. The other books in the series are usually around 300 to 400 pages, sometimes a bit more, but this one is the thickest. There are 4 books in the series. This is the last, and the entire series goes Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and then Twisted Lies. The first book I gave it 4 stars, then the next 2 5 stars, and then this one I gave 3.5 stars. I'm not quite sure by my rating for this one. I do admit that I didn't enjoy this as much as the other ones, but I still like the plot. So this plot is about Christian and Stella. Christian is kind of a charming businessman, but he's also deadly. And he's known for having absolutely zero morals, and he definitely does not want love in his life. And then there's Stella, who is basically his complete opposite. She is sweet and shy and kind of introverted, and she's also a social media influencer. But then there is a slightly darker side to her because she's kind of running from her past. There is this threat in her past that she really wants to just forget it ever existed, which turns out to be harder than she expected. Stella is also Christian's tenant in his apartment building, and Christian keeps doing these favors for her. For example, he lowered her rent by quite a bit because she wasn't able to afford it, and he keeps like giving her rides and stuff like that, and slowly things build up and it becomes something more. As I said before, this book is a 3.5 star for me. That means that I still enjoyed it. Before you guys go, oh my god, that's a terrible review. No, it's not. I still recommend this book. My rating goes like this. 1 star for me means absolutely not for me. I didn't enjoy it, I did not finish it, and would not recommend it. 2 stars for me means that I finished the book, but I really did not enjoy it. I had to force myself to get through it. I was waiting for the next book to start. I just wanted to finish this book so I could get on to the next one. 3 stars means that I enjoyed it. It's just that it's not like my favorite book ever, but I would still recommend it. 4 stars is, oh my god, I really liked it and I would really recommend it. Then 5 stars is, best book ever. And then I have the 6 stars and above category, which is really rare for me, which is like, okay, no word said, this book, read it. Which basically means that I'm obsessed, I want everything to do with that book, I cannot stop thinking about it. So based on that rating, 3.5 stars for me is actually not that bad. It basically means that I finished the book, I kind of enjoyed it, it just might not be my favorite book ever. So in terms of my thoughts about this book, the romance was actually quite good, and Stella I quite liked. She was very bright and happy despite of her dark past, and she's also got problems with her family, and she fights to get over that, which I really liked. I was actually like maybe 60%, 55% through this book, and then I was just like, okay, do I keep going? Do I just stop there? I actually put this book down for a while and was like, okay, maybe it's not for me. I just put it down and walked away for like a couple of days actually, which is quite a lot for me. I was very bored and things were moving a bit too slowly for me. This is supposed to be like a slow burn romance kind of thing, but for me there is such a thing as too slow, and I feel like this book kind of went in that direction, which obviously, as I just said, is not my favorite. I actually picked this book up again just because I really wanted to finish the series. This is the last book in the series and I just wanted to say, wait, I've read the series, I'm done with it. I kind of found myself skimming throughout the second half of the book. After I picked it up again, I was just like, okay, I'll finish it, and then I was just like basically just flipping through the pages, waiting for something to happen, and it did, but things went just a little bit too slow for me. If that's your cup of tea, then this would be a great book for you. I would actually recommend this entire series. If you're in the mood for like a romance with like mystery inside it, this is a really good series for you to try. So basically, in summary, I like this book, but it might have just not been for me. So for the next book, I read Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. This is actually this book. This is the third book in the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. First two books are called Things We Never Go Over and Things We Hide from the Light. I really enjoyed the first two books. The first book I gave 5 stars. The second book I think I also gave 5 stars, but now thinking back I would have given it like a 4.75, 4.5 stars. I still like the second book, it's just that I didn't feel like I was as much connected to the characters for some reason. And now thinking about it, I didn't have like that 5-star feeling, which is sort of necessary for my 5-star books. This series is also an interconnected series of standalones, so you do see characters that come up in the previous books, but you don't need to read the previous books before you read this one. This is a romance series with tons of subplots mixed in. There is mystery, there is kidnapping, there was a bunch of others that come up later in the book, so I feel like they would be sort of like spoilers. But the first book also encountered the problem of an evil twin, which is also really fun. This book is about Lucian and Sloane. So ever since I read the first book, I've been waiting for Lucian's story to come out. He's known for being like the grumpy, really like cold businessman. He is deadly and everyone can tell. He walks into a room and immediately there's like this dangerous energy around. He is a millionaire. He's got his own agency, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. He is dabbling in like the illegal part of his job, so he often goes off route completely, but the police can never trace things back to him. He does work for the better good though, so it's not like all bad. And then Sloane is a librarian at the local library in Knock 'Em Out. She has a history with Lucian, but we do not know what it is. You kind of figure that out as the book goes by. The book is also dual POV, so you get Lucian's point of view and you get Sloane's point of view. You also get the past. So every couple of chapters you go back on the timeline into their past and you get to see what happened between them that makes them really hate each other now. In the present, they hate each other. They cannot stand each other. They always quarrel with each other. So it's like an enemies to lovers kind of book. This is also quite a thick book. This book has 580 pages, which is even thicker than the previous one. Alright, so for my thoughts about this book. I went into this book thinking, okay, this is going to be 5 stars, easy. I love the previous 2 books, and this is the newest, so I'm like, okay, definitely 5 stars, no question. And then I started reading it. This is obviously a standalone kind of series, so each book is made that you don't need to read the previous books to read this. So you do kind of get like the introduction to the characters at the beginning, which is kind of slightly boring to you if you've already read the previous books and you already know the characters. So I believe that actually Sarah Caroli talked about this in her video about this book. She said that she found that the first half of the book was more like introducing the characters, and for the people who've already read the series, that part's kind of repetitive. So as for the rating for me with this book, I actually don't know what I gave it, but thinking back, I think I would have given it like a 4.25 stars. It's not a 4.5 stars for me, definitely, but I also don't feel like it's a 4 stars, so somewhere in between that. I still love the plot and how it went down. Their quarreling is really fun to read, but I do feel like it was very repetitive with the introduction, and the first nearly half of this book, which is like 300 pages, is just us getting to know these characters. But I did really enjoy reading about their past and how they got to this situation where they hate each other. So for me, yeah, 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely would recommend the series. If you're looking for a romance series with mystery in it, I would definitely recommend the series. It's so good. Okay, for my next book, oh gosh, sorry, I just got scared. Okay, so for my next book, I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is her newest release, I believe. This is also a romance novel, and I've read all of her other books. So there's Book Lovers, there is Beach Read, and there is People We Meet on Vacation. I still really enjoyed the other books. I was kind of confused because I didn't really understand where all the hype was coming from, because I understand that Beach Read is like everyone's favorite, which I do get. It is a very comforting read for me, but I wouldn't say that for me it's like a 5-star read. No, for me it's more like a 4 stars, maybe 4.5 stars. I still really enjoyed it, but I just wouldn't say that it's my favorite book ever. And then we come to this book. I thought, because it's Emily Henry, I have to read it. I was also really interested in the plot. This is a second chance romance. So this is about Harry and Wynne. They are, or they used to be, fiancés. They are now ex-fiancés. But every year they go with their friends to this summer beach house kind of thing, which is their happy place, which is where the title comes from. They go with their friends and they don't want to ruin this summer for their friends, so they hide the fact that they're not together anymore, which also means that it's like a forced proximity kind of situation, as well as like fake dating almost, but this is not fake dating, this is like fake engagement kind of thing. I just went into this book being like, okay, everyone likes it and I'll just see where I go with it. And again, this might just be because of my mood this month. I am a mood reader, so if I don't feel like reading a book, I will find a really hard time for me to get into that book. So I started this book and I believe it took me an entire week to finish this book, maybe even more. As well as me not being able to find the time to read, I just wasn't really into this book. So for the first like half of this book, it's just dialogue, cutesiness, dialogue. And I enjoy my books fast-paced. Not always. I do like a few not fast-paced books, but this book just wasn't doing it for me. I did manage to finish it, and I do say that the second half, maybe the last quarter of the book, did pick up pace. And I did enjoy it, but I saw what Kat Reads It said about this book. Check out her channel if you haven't already. I love her. She is so relatable with all her book content. But I saw what she said about this book, about how it expressed a lot of problems in very little time. The first half of the book, it's more like introduction kind of thing. And then in the second half of the book alone, maybe even like last quarter of the book, they went into a lot of really difficult subjects. For example, there was depression, there was family problems, there was the death of a loved one, there was a bunch of other ones too. And all of that was featured in just 100 something pages, maybe 150 pages. And for me, I just find that that is too quick for someone to talk about such deep subjects. Maybe if it was focused on a little bit more, I would have enjoyed this book, and I still did enjoy it. I just wouldn't say that it's my favorite. I would recommend it to someone who just likes light, easy reads, but I wouldn't say that this is the best book for me. I'm actually not really sure what I gave this book, again, because I don't really write down my ratings for books, which actually I should be doing. I think I would have given this book a 4 stars, maybe 3.5, but it's not exactly a 3.5 either for me, so I think I would be happy with a 3.75 for this book. Again, if you're a huge Emily Henry fan, I believe that you would enjoy this book. It's just that I myself, I do enjoy Emily Henry books, it's just that I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan ever. So basically, summary, I liked this book, but not the best for me. Okay, next book we have King of Wrath by Anna Huang. This is actually the same author as the Twisted series, which I talked about previously. This is, I believe, her newest series. There is a new book coming out, King of Greed, in October, I believe. Yeah, I'm going to get that book as soon as it's out. This is the Kings of Sin series, and this, I believe, is like a billionaire romance series. I'm not sure if all the books are going to be like that, but I believe the book books are based on the sins. Please don't ask me what the sins are and how many there are. I do not know. But as far as I know, there are 2 books so far, with the 3rd one coming out, and there might be like 4 or 5 more. Please let me know in the comments how many there are going to be. Yeah, so this book focuses on Dante and Vivian. If you've read the Twisted series, you will have seen Dante before, and you will have kind of like heard about Vivian slightly in the passing. Dante is very ruthless. He is a, I believe, billionaire. Correct me if I'm wrong. He might be a millionaire, but I'm pretty sure he's a billionaire. He is a CEO of this huge company, and he's never had to do anything before blackmail forces him to marry this woman who he barely knows, Vivian. And Vivian is this perfect daughter of the Law family. Law? Lou? I don't know how to say that name, but she's the perfect daughter. She always goes along with what her family says. She's always scared of disappointing her family. So when her father forces her into marriage, she doesn't complain, although she really does not like it. She is terrified. She does not want to get married. So this book is a forced marriage as well as forced proximity. There's like kind of fake dating as well as the sort of grumpy sunshine trope, all of which I really enjoy. This book I gave a 4.5 stars. I really liked it. I really liked how when Dante was very rude, Vivian would always snap back, and I liked how she became herself outside of her family's confinements and she fights against her family, which I really liked. I don't really think of this book in passing anymore. It's kind of blurry, the details of this book for me, which obviously tells me that it's not 5 stars, nowhere even near. So I might have given this book a 4.25 stars, but I still believe that 4.5 stars is better for this book. So that's what I'm giving. I still really enjoyed this book and I would definitely recommend it. Okay, for the next book, I have Legendary by Stephanie Garber. Stephanie Garber is a very well-known author. If you've not yet heard of her, she's also written the Once Upon a Broken Heart. Hold on. Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Actually, is it a trilogy? I know that there's a 3rd book coming out. Is that going to be the last book? I'm not sure. But this is the 2nd book in the Caraval trilogy. As for the 1st book, Caraval, I know that I say I enjoyed it quite a lot, so I'm not going to say that now. How can I say this? I liked it, but I was very confused with the 1st book. Caraval is about a game where contestants need to find these clues to win this prize. The thing with Caraval is that it seems like it's all real with all the magical stuff. It seems like it's real, but it's actually not, and you need to remember that it's all a game. So the main character is Scarlett. There's also Donatella, who is her sister, and they are living with their very abusive father, and then they get tickets from Legend, Caraval's master, and Scarlett is always the very precautionary sister. She actually has this fiance that she believes if she marries, she will be able to save her sister from her father. And then Donatella is the complete opposite. She jumps into trouble all the time. She runs into problems head first, and obviously when the letter arrives, Donatella is all for it, and Scarlett is like, nope, that is too risky. We are going to go with my fiance. Teller, therefore, kidnaps her sister and takes them to Caraval. Which is crazy, I know. And then they have to go through Caraval and all the things where it seems like it's real. It really seems like it's real. I need to not forget that it's actually a game, and that's really hard to do. So for the 1st book, how do I say this? I liked it, but I wouldn't say that it's my favorite book ever. I was really confused because of the fact that it's all like, oh gosh, the church bells are ringing. 1 second. Finally, that actually took a lot longer than I expected. Church bells where I am take a very long time to finish. But anyway, so back to Caraval, I believe I was talking about. Let's just go back slightly. I read it in May, I believe, and I was very confused. So before I started Legendary, which is the 2nd book, I reread Caraval last month, I believe, and I was still confused. The fact that it was all a game was very confusing to me, and if you know at the end this kind of thing happens, this revelation, and that was very confusing to me. I was not expecting it at all, and yeah, I gave Caraval 3.5 stars. Thinking back, I think now I would have given it 3.75 stars. It's not exactly a 4-star read for me, but it's not a 3.5 star read for me either. I kind of feel bad for giving it 3.75 stars just because of the fact that everyone really likes this series, but that's just my opinion and I hope you guys respect it. So that being said, when I started Legendary, I really had no expectations whatsoever. I was like, okay, the main reason I'm reading this series is just because I want to move on to Once Upon a Broken Heart. Everyone said that Caraval should technically be read before Once Upon a Broken Heart, so I'm like, okay, the only reason I'm reading the series is because I want to move on to that series. everyone raves about Once Upon a Broken Heart, so I'll just finish the series and move on. This book, first of all, floppy. I love floppy books. Like, this book is so floppy, you can leave it open and it just stays open. I love these books. But I was really pleasantly surprised when I started this book. Okay, the beginning was kind of difficult to get into, slightly difficult. I was about 100 pages into it before I actually started enjoying the read, but I still really enjoyed it. I gave this book a 4.5 stars, which is just wow. And this one follows Donatella, so Scarlett's sister from the previous book, and her, like, love life slash Caraval. And you also get to meet Jax, who is... Actually, I'm not going to say it, who is just Jax, but I've heard that you see him in Once Upon a Broken Heart. He's one of the main characters, I believe, in Once Upon a Broken Heart. So you get to meet him first in this series. And yeah, I really liked this book. I do say that the plot twist kind of thing at the end was slightly expected. So I did kind of maybe slightly predict the plot twist, but that does not mean that I did not enjoy it. And yeah, I still really like this book more than I expected, so 4.5 stars for me. Definitely recommend this series if you're looking to start with Stephanie Garber. Also, this book read really quickly for me. Once I'd read the first 100 pages, I flew through this book. Definitely one of the best books this month for me. And talking about Stephanie Garber, the next book that I read is Finale, which is the last book in the Caraval series. So there is Legendary, Finale, and also Caraval. Hold on, I'll get it quick. Okay, I am back. So this is the entire trilogy: Caraval, Legendary, and Finale. And yeah, I've already talked about the first two. They are all these books are really floppy, which I really like. This one, Finale, is the last book in the trilogy. And for this book, I went in with slightly high expectations, but still quite low because obviously the first book was not my favorite. So when I started this book, oh my god, I could not let go. I was hooked. This is a 5-star read for me. And when I say that is surprising for me. I was not expecting any of these books to be 5 stars. I loved it. I still think about it today. I can't really talk about the plot without spoiling the other two, so I won't really go into the plot in this book, but I believe that it is worth reading the other two books just to read this one. This was really good, and I think I read it in like 2 sittings. I really like this book, and yeah, 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend the series. That's it. I can't really say more about this book without spoiling it. So please read the series. If you do not really like Caraval, just keep going. I promise it gets better. I know for some people they don't like Legendary, but I really enjoyed it. I think it depends on the person, so please read the series. And then the last book that I read this month is King of Pride, which is the second book in the Kings of Sin series that I talked about previously. So this goes on about Kai Young, who is an aspiring CEO of the Young business, but he's not CEO yet, so there's this vote looming in front of him. He really needs to win because this is his family company. So he is very reserved, he is very cool, collected, calm. And then there is Isabella. First of all, purple hair, tattoos, and a very, very explosive personality. Kai is off limits for her because she is a bartender at the Valhalla Club. I believe that's how you say it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there is a strict no fraternizing rule between staff members and club members. So he is off limits, but then it kind of spirals. This is forbidden romance kind of thing. And I finished this book yesterday. And when I say I do not know what to give it, I mean, I have absolutely zero clue. It took me like 3 days to finish this book, and that was actually fast for this book because usually I would think I would have just not finished it. But I want to continue with the series. I feel like this month I just wasn't in a romance kind of mood. I am going into my fall vibes. I really want those fantasy, cozy, kind of warm novels. So I was just finishing up my romance TBR from last month, and this definitely was not my favorite. I was so happy when I finished it yesterday, just for the sole reason that I could just move on with the next book. I did not really like this book. I liked the plot, but for the last 100 pages, I literally skimmed it. I was just flipping page after page, waiting for this book to be finished. But when I say that this plot, I think I would have actually enjoyed this book if I read it earlier in the month or even earlier in the year. Mainly because as I said, I wasn't in a romance mood this month. If you are looking for a romance book now, this might be your cup of tea. It just wasn't for me. Yeah, I think I gave this book a 3.5 stars, and I think I stand by that. It was not my favorite. So yeah, with that being said, those were my 7 books this month. Again, not my best reading month, but I do think that some of these books were actually quite good. So yeah, I hope you guys found some recommendations out of this video. This is actually my first YouTube video, like actual YouTube video. I've done shorts before, but not actual YouTube videos. So I hope my editing was alright. I am a beginner, so please just hold on. I will try to get better. And yeah, if you guys have any recommendations or any tips on editing or filming, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good morning, day, night, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!